The Kansas City Chiefs have signed 2 defensive backs and a wide receiver, and this video will come with a very big question at the end of it because I think there might be some reading into these moves to be had. But also, this video comes with a redaction. I made a video yesterday about the Kansas City Chiefs signing Kwame Lassiter. That is not the case. I saw a tweet, I saw an article. I decided that those 2 were good enough. It turns out the article came from the tweet. The tweet was wrong. So I apologize for that. There is no former KU wide receiver on these Kansas City Chiefs. But we will start here with the reports from training camp this morning. And if you saw this morning's video on day 9 of training camp, this will be brief. I promise. Cornerback Azizi Hearn, 47, is here at practice this morning. He was among the tryout players here on Wednesday. He would appear to be taking the roster spot vacated by punter Edde from Matt Derrick. Matt Derrick then goes on to say, also cornerback Anjani Carter is here wearing number 46, formerly worn by Darius Rush. Darius Rush being one of the players that was let go. Number 8 is now Keyshawn Smith. Keyshawn Smith, a wide receiver to the best of my knowledge. A little bit difficult putting together some information on Keyshawn Smith, so I do have college statistics for him, but other than that, then someone asks, where is Kwame Lassiter? And Matt Derrick answers simply, my assumption is that someone put 2 and 2 together and came up with 5. Lassiter was in St. Joe for a tryout, but didn't sign with the Chiefs, which explains why only one account reported it. There is the story and the lead up to the video for, all my stuff is gone? No, here we go. The video for Azizi Hearn. Now, who is Azizi Hearn? Well, I have pulled up the RAS score for Azizi Hearn, of course, because we're going to start with the numbers, with the measurables, with the athlete himself. And there is the best argument that I can find for Azizi Hearn making the roster starts right here and starts with the second slide on this page. If you were familiar with college colors, you might be able to peep out what is going on down there. But Azizi Hearn from UCLA, ironically, and if you were familiar with college sports, you will know why this is ironic as well, but an RAS score of 9.32, a 6 foot tall free safety listed here. He is other places listed as a cornerback. I think he is the textbook defensive back for the Kansas City Chiefs. You like safeties who are aggressive. You like cornerbacks who are fast. Where someone has safety speed and cornerback aggressiveness, they list them at defensive back, not safety or corner. So that is a little bit what I think we're looking at here with Azizi Hearn, 6 foot tall, 206 pounds, which would be great size for a cornerback. 18 decent size for a safety. 18 bench press reps on the 225-pound weight, a 37.5-inch vertical leap with a 10-foot 7-inch broad jump. Those are pretty good numbers whether you are a safety or a cornerback. That 4.48 40-yard dash scores 8.72 for safety, would not be quite so high for corners. 1.59 10-yard split, scores 6.43 out of 10 for the safety position, would not be that high for a cornerback. That is a struggle number for a cornerback. Then you have a short shuttle of 4.23 and a 3-cone drill of 6.92. That is the athlete. Fairly impressive numbers at safety, fairly run-of-the-mill numbers at corner. If we are to compare Azizi Hearn to the roster as it stands, or perhaps more meaningfully, the roster as it was last year, you would be comparing Azizi Hearn with Christian Roland-Wallace. Christian Roland-Wallace scored a 5.01 on his RAS score. Christian Roland-Wallace was a Kansas City Chief all of last year on the 53-man roster. So, obviously, much better at the sport of football than he is at the sport of testing. So, to compare these two, Azizi Hearn is marginally taller at 6 foot and 4/10 versus 5'11 and 4/10, 1 inch taller. He is 5 pounds heavier, 206 versus 201. Did one more rep on the bench press than did Christian Roland-Wallace. So right now, it's all across the board. Azizi Hearn, 37.5-inch vert for Christian Roland-Wallace. The same thing for Azizi Hearn. 9 foot 11-inch broad jump for Christian Roland-Wallace. Much better score for Azizi Hearn. 4.63 40-yard dash on Christian Roland-Wallace. 4.48 for Azizi Hearn. A 1.60 10-yard split for Christian Roland-Wallace. A 1.59 for Azizi Hearn. Now see here. Christian Roland-Wallace listed at cornerback, was more of a safety, became kind of a defensive back for the Kansas City Chiefs. Neither a corner nor a safety, just kind of on the field in the other realms. So that 159 scores a 6.43 for safeties. A 1.60 scores a 4.67 at cornerback. Very precipitous drop-off at that 10-yard split number for a cornerback. 4.52 and 7.18, 4.23 and 6.92. All of Azizi Hearn's numbers are better than Christian Roland-Wallace, but I'm going to get into a little bit later in this video why I don't think Azizi Hearn will overtake Christian Roland-Wallace. This is what he did at the college level. You will notice here 0 interceptions, but 0 sacks, but 2 total tackles for loss, which I have to admit is a confounding number because watching him on film, he's very good at diagnosing plays. Now, he had 40 tackles his senior season in college, and he's pretty good in the pass breakup department. 1 pass deflection as a freshman, then 2 consecutive seasons at 4. His junior season, he broke up 5 passes, and last year broke up 7 passes. Pretty decent numbers there. Here is what he has done in his time in the NFL. Entered the NFL as a free agent, undrafted free agent for the New England Patriots, and signed to the practice squad in September. Was released August the next year. The next month, couple weeks later, he signed with the Panthers on the practice squad and was released about a month later. And then a month and a half-ish later, signed with the Giants practice squad. That was how he ended 2024. So he has practice squad hopped a few times in the NFL. Here is, and I just brought in all of NFL.com's scouting on this just so we can go over it from Lanza's Airline. Priority free agent. So he is where they projected him. As a cornerback, Hearn does not offer ball skills or anticipation necessary to handle zone or man duties in the NFL. However, as a safety, his size and athletic testing could create some interest from teams looking for him to make that position change. He's a wrap-up tackler and does a nice job of taking on blocks. Hearn might be worth a peek for teams interested in developing him into a big nickelback or a box safety. Strengths: possesses physical talent and NFL measurables. We went over that. Size and toughness could help him make a move to safety. I honestly, and this is just assessment, this is not a judgment on the character himself, I don't know about the toughness part. Tools to potentially line up over slot and tight ends. It's kind of what you're doing with Christian Roland-Wallace. Quick to punch and stuff perimeter blockers, and plenty of experience tackling around the box. Pause. Weaknesses: did not intercept a pass in 38 career starts. Allows excessive space for offenses to play pitch and catch. Too easily shaken at the top of routes. Below average reading and jumping the route. Can be leggy in maneuvering as an open field tackler. I actually disagree with below average reading and jumping the route. I think he has good play recognition skills. I think that he is perhaps tentative to actually follow through. But you can get rid of that with coaching. Much like that second idea here, might be too handsy. A lot of the stuff that I saw him get into on the field in college is going to get called at the NFL level. It's easier to coach that out than to coach it in. Steve Spagnuolo, if you will remember L'Jarius Sneed, seems to like that a little bit, that aggressiveness in his defensive backs. So that is something that you could see the Kansas City Chiefs attempt to coach out, or maybe just leave it in and make wide receivers think about it, quarterbacks think about it before they throw the ball. In my opinion, so we set up here the aggressiveness, toughness. In my opinion, he is too much of a wait and grab tackler. That's why it looks like he is slow at diagnosing plays. In my opinion, he's very fast at diagnosing plays, but he breaks down in order to make the tackle probably 2 yards too early and ends up giving up more yards that way. He stands there, and then he just kind of moves into the way of the ball carrier and wraps them up. It's a wait and grab tackler, not a go-getter. As I said earlier, this seems like the typical quote-unquote defensive back position that the Kansas City Chiefs like to have around. He has all of the physicality of a corner and all of the athleticism of a safety. Those tweener guys seem to be guys that stick with the Kansas City Chiefs. Kind of confoundingly, kind of how the Kansas City Chiefs seem to get away better with poorer athletes at the linebacker positions. Nick Bolton, a bad RAS score, can't get him off the field. Leo Chanel, nearly perfect, never plays. You have Cooper McDonald, pretty bad RAS score, pretty bad athletic numbers, seems to be a gamer. Brandon George, 9.98 RAS score, probably not going to make the roster. So I said something about toughness, and I don't mean as a person, I mean on the football field, right? Here is a still shot from one of the preseason games that Azizi Hearn played for the New England Patriots. This is Azizi Hearn. He ended up on his back at the end of this play. This man right here is a third-string quarterback. Rough going in the defensive huddle after being depleted, and by the way, he went flying after being depleted by a third-string quarterback. Very hard to hold your head high in the huddle after that, and I think that is because he does not commit to the tackle. He commits to the wait and grab. Bottom line for me, if there weren't already a Christian Roland-Wallace on the roster, I would think he would have a pretty good chance at making the roster. Now, the Chiefs also have a couple of defensive backs in this UDFA class that I think are pretty good as well and probably stand a pretty good chance to make the roster. But I think that this athlete would perhaps warrant a look-see, if not on the 53, then at least on the practice squad. Right now, I simply think the Kansas City Chiefs are too deep for that to be the case. Now, the last thing, the big question here. The Kansas City Chiefs cut 2 defensive backs with injury designations. One of them, Darius Rush, that I was kind of hoping to see with the Kansas City Chiefs. He had a stint with the Kansas City Chiefs before. I was hoping to see him play this out, maybe get himself a special teams ace job. Not the case. So they cut 2 defensive backs and brought in 2 more. Now, it's possible that this is just to have the numbers up, right? They cut a wide receiver earlier and they signed Hal Presley. You have a wide receiver going out injured. You bring in the gentleman who was signed today, Keyshawn Hand, whatever his name is. You sign him. Okay, great. If it's the numbers, it's the numbers. But there's pressing needs on this Kansas City Chiefs team. Do they feel all that safe at defensive tackle? Do they not think there is a single name at the edge position that you could bring in and give some type of look look-see, if even for only a potential spot on the practice squad. You want to have an edge on your practice squad. Who's it going to be? Is there anyone on the team right now worthy of a practice squad spot? Is it possible that the Kansas City Chiefs are gearing up to move on from one of their defensive backs? The rumors have been swirling lately that Joshua Williams will be traded. I made a video probably a month ago about trade bait and put old Joshua Williams on there. Not to toot my own horn, but toot toot. Is this a move, bringing in two defensive backs, getting rid of two defensive backs that you knew probably weren't going to make the roster and were injured, so you injury designate them? You knew they were gone. You knew they were toast. Get rid of them, bring in two more. Is this a move to make sure you have someone worthy of being on the roster by the time you trade Joshua Williams? By the way, guys, also worth keeping an eye on, the Kansas City Chiefs might trade Joshua Williams. I believe that. I think they might also trade Christian Roland-Wallace. They have enough intriguing players on the roster right now that I think they believe, probably, if they've seen the guy in practice who can do it, that one of these guys could do the role that was play the role that was manned by Christian Roland-Wallace last year. It's not a great big role, a lot of special teams, few defensive snaps. Do they have someone that can replace Christian Roland-Wallace? Then all of a sudden, you have two defensive backs that you can trade. Because I think you would get something for both of them. Both of them have proven they belong on a 53-man roster. I don't think it would be a bountiful haul, but if you can trade, the rumor is Joshua Williams for a 6th-round pick. If I can get a 6th-round pick out of a 4th-year player from the 4th round, yeah, I take it 100% all the time. That is a win. He's likely to move on in free agency next year, and you get absolutely nothing for him. Unlikely, it seems at this point, to be on the field at all this season. So you move on, you pick up an asset, and all of a sudden you're richer in the draft. Christian Roland-Wallace, you're not getting a 6th-round pick. But, like Amir Smith-Marset the season before, or was that last year? I can't remember now. Trading him, it was last season. Trading him in order to move up in the 7th round is still something valuable. Still something valuable to be had there. So I think, so you trade your 7th and Christian Roland-Wallace for, I don't know, the Patriots' 7th, right? Something like that. I think that is a meaningful deal for the Kansas City Chiefs, moving up 20 spots in the draft, whatever it ends up being, and having a pick there instead. You've seen what Brett Veach can do with picks in the 7th round. That is all I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting a like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on the channel, dropping multiple videos every single week. And as always, I hope to have you back for the next one.